Hello, listeners. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we are going to discuss on our another one topic of supply chain management. So, today we are going to discuss on inventory, or we can say inventory management. So, I think everybody aware about the inventory. So, inventory is nothing but it is the process of ordering, storing, and using of company's inventory, or we can say stock. Process of ordering, storing, and using a stock like raw materials and finished products. So inventory means not only the stock, but it includes ordering, storing, and using of that stock, or using of that raw material and finished product. That is a inventory. So we can see the concept of inventory. So as I told, inventory is associated with the procurement of material, storing of material, and using of materials. Material in the sense the raw material as well as finished goods. So inventory constitutes one of the most important elements of any system dealing with supply, manufacturing, and distribution of goods and services. As I told, supply means the suppliers or vendors, they supply raw material to company, means it is a procurement of company. Then manufacturing means distribution of that material for the production process, and again this distribution of goods means distribution of finished goods or services. So inventory concept is related to the supply, means procurement, then manufacturing means the supply of raw material for each and every process, and again the distribution of finished goods. So it is a concept of inventory. So it is a management. The inventory management is a very important aspects of any production unit. So in inventory management, there should be the proper procurement, there should be the storing, maintaining the stock, and distribution of the finished goods. That is the inventory. So inventories are common to farms, manufacturers, traders, hospitals, temples, prisons, zoos, universities, and government. So we can say these are the fields in which inventories are used, and it is implemented inventory management. So these are the field in which the inventory plays an important role. Then the term inventory can be used to mean several different things, such as, so what exactly mean by inventory? So it can be mean by the different way, it can be explained by different way. Suppose the stock on hand of materials at a given time. So whatever stock the company have in their storage, that can be also known as a inventory. So stock in hand of a material, that may be the raw material, that may be the finished product. So whatever material company have with them, that can be treated as a inventory of a company. So it is a first way of explaining the inventory. So it is a part of inventory, the stock on hand of materials at a given time. It is a one way, or it is a one meaning of inventory. Then an itemized list of all physical assets. So materials is the part of inventory, as well as all the physical assets available with company is also treated as a inventory. So all the physical assets, it may be the machineries, it may be the equipments, so all those, they can be treated as inventory. Then determine the quality of items on hand, and so determine the quality of item on hand is also can be treated as a inventory. So whatever quality you have of your product, that also the inventory for you. And for the financial and accounting records, so the value of the stock of goods owned by an organization at a particular time. So as you all knows that in accounting we only record a value of that items, value of assets, values of raw materials. We cannot maintain the 5 tons of material we have, they only maintain the 5,000 material we have. So in a financial sense, whatever value of the stock you have with you, that is treated as a inventory. So inventory may be the assets, it may be the raw materials in hand, it may be the quality, or it may be the value of the stock you have with you. So these are the some ways, or these are the some parameters of the inventory. Then in logistic and supply chain perspective, so students, our subject is supply chain management. So in this context we have to learn the inventory in the context of supply chain and logistic. So in a context of supply chain and logistic management, or in a logistic, inventory is any idle material resources of an enterprise awaiting future sales, use, or transformation. So it is a very clear meaning that inventory means what? It is a stock. We have a stock. We have a storage. So it is a idle, means we kept it at a side. It is not in a process. It is a waiting to future sales. If it is a inventory of finished goods or final goods, they are waiting to sell them. Or if it is a inventory of raw materials, then they are waiting for what? They are waiting for to use that material in the production process. So it is awaiting for the use. And or transformation means, suppose that inventory is of the semi finished goods, then they are awaiting to be converted into a final product. So it is what? It is a inventory. So inventory, it is a very simple and the correct meaning of inventory, that is inventory is any idle material resources of an enterprises. So any material of an enterprise that are awaiting for future future sales, future use, or transformation. So it is what? It is a inventory. In other words, inventory refers to stocking of raw materials, in process material, finished products, packaging, tools and equipments, spares and others in order to meet an expected demand or distribution in future. So what is meant by inventory? Inventory, it refers to stocking of. So we can say inventory, it refers to a stock. What types of stock? It may be stock of raw material, it may be the stock of in process material, it may be the stock of finished goods. So this is about the material, this is about a product. Along with product, along with main product, there also the packaging material which are stored. Along with they have some tools and equipments, they are also awaiting to use. There are some spare parts and other materials, they are in order to meet an expected demand or distribution in a future. So this is what about the inventory. Now definition of inventory. So now up to now we already discussed about the broad meaning of inventory. What is it mean? What types of material we have in inventory? Now there is a exact definition of inventory. That is, inventory is an idle stock of physical goods that contain economic value and are held in various forms by an organization in its custody, awaiting packing, processing, transformation, use or sale in a future point of time. So inventory is an idle stock of physical goods. As we discuss, it is a idle stock. It is a stock. So inventory is an idle stock of physical goods, means it is a idle, it is not in a use, it is in a store. What types of that? It is an economical value. It is an are held in various forms by an organization in its custody, awaiting for what? Awaiting for packing, processing, transformation, use or sales in a future point of time. So while inventory is a necessary evil of any such business, it may be noted that the organization hold inventories for various reasons. So why organization holds the inventory? Holding a inventory, there are so many reasons. The first one is speculative purpose. Speculative purpose means in a future their price can be increased, so they have to make a profit by storing a material. Then functional purpose means they have to process their material, so they require a raw material and they store it in a advance, so they will not feel any uh, lack of supply, or they will not have any insufficient availability of raw material. So for functional purpose they maintain an inventory. And physical necessities for the product processing. So this is about the definition of inventory. So from above definition, the some following points can be withdrawn. The first one is all organization engaged in production or sale of products hold inventory in one form or other. So every organization who are in a production or a sale, they have an inventory. Another point, it said inventory can be in a complete state or incomplete state. It is very obvious. So whatever material they require, that can be in sufficient quantity or it may be the insufficient quantity. So inventory can be in a complete state. Complete state means whatever material they required, that may be in a storage, or sometimes it is an hub of material what they required for the production process. Then inventory is held to facilitate future consumption, sale or further processing. So why inventory is held? That may be held for the future consumption, sales or processing. And all inventories resources have economic value and can be considered as assets of an organization. It is very obvious. So inventory is, it has economical value and it can be treated as an asset of an organization. Then inventory management. So inventory management is a very important functions that determines the health of supply chain as well as the impact the financial health of a balance sheet. So inventory management is a very important point. So inventory management means what? It is a process in which they manage whatever raw material, whatever finished product, whatever semi finished product, whatever the packaging material, equipment, machineries they required for the further their activity, that should be managed, that should be under control. So that is a inventory management. So in a inventory management there are 2 points which they have to understood as nature of materials and uses of materials. So types of inventory. So according to nature of materials, the first type is production inventories. So raw materials, part and components which are consumed in a production process of goods come under the category of production material inventories. So classification of inventory is on the of two bases. The first one is nature of materials, and again the nature of materials are classified. The first one is production inventory. So production inventory means what? The materials, the raw materials, the components or parts which will be useful for the further production of a goods, that comes under the production inventory. So we can say production inventory means the whatever material required for the production process that maintain in a stock, that is a production inventory. Then MRO inventories. So what is meant by MRO inventories? MRO inventories means maintenance, repair and operating inventories. So whatever material required for maintenance, for a repair or for operating, that is comes under the MRO inventories. So supplies which are used in the production process but do not become a part of the products called MRO items. So MRO items, in other words, we can also call as indirect inventory. So or indirect material inventory. So raw material parts and components are going to be directly part of production process, but this MRO are not directly be part of production, but they will facilitate the production. So these can be known as a indirect material inventories or MRO inventories. So which are those? Those are the lubricating oils, old clothes, machines, spares and parts. So they will not become a part of product, but they will facilitate the production process. Then in process inventories. So in process inventories means these goods are partially completed. So the company, they have partially completed the production process, and again after some time that material again will go in a production process, and then we will get the final product or finished goods. So in process inventory we can also known as semi-finished inventory. So semi-finished means half of parts of that production process is completed, and that stock is awaiting to be finalized after going through some process. So this is what in process inventories. And finished good inventories means the inventory which is maintained for the final products or finished goods, and they are available for sales or a distribution. So this is about completed products ready for shipping. So that is a finished good inventories. On the basis of uses of material, again there are some types of inventories. The first one is transaction inventory. So transaction inventory, these types of inventory items are basically needed for transaction of finished sellable products or raw materials. So transaction, they are waiting for transaction. There should be the some transformation, there should be the for exchange. So that is about transaction inventory. Then speculative inventory, so stocking of material as a measure of speculation so as to get more price of goods. As I told in previous few slides, that is speculative inventory means that inventory are procured, that are stored in a sense that they know that in a future they will get a extra profit by selling that product. So that's why they are a speculative inventory. Normally the speculative inventory are available with the traders. They maintain a speculative inventory, and when they found a rise in a price, then they dispatch that material for a sale. Then precautionary inventory means it is a opposite to speculative inventory. In a precautionary inventory, they stock a material to avoid a breakdown or to maintain a sufficient stock which they will require for further production. So it's a precautionary. There should not be any stoppage of work due to the unavailability of material. So it is a precautionary inventory. Then functions of inventory in logistic and supply chain management. So what is the functions of inventory? So converting raw materials into finished products and their shipment to customers. Most products move from various processes through a complex network of supply chain. Such a form of secondary to primary vendors, from primary vendors to manufacturers, or from manufacturers to various distributor centers, from distribution centers to customers who ultimately deliver to the end users. So in this FARA, it is explained that in a supply chain or in a logistic management, everywhere there is a transportation of a material. Even primary vendors selling it to the manufacturer, then manufacturer manufacture a product and it distribute to different centers, then different centers they going to distribute to the customers. So at every this stage there should be the inventory, there should be the stock. Without any stock they can, that material cannot be reached to the customers. So it is the role of inventory in a supply chain. Every stage of the network in a distribution they have to maintain a stock. In other words, supply chain concept represents the flow of raw materials through the conversion process in order to become a finished product at the ultimate consumer's point of use. Then the explain the purpose of inventory services is introducing functional classification. So one or more of the following categories. So inventory can be of this type: work in stock, safety stock, anticipation. Working means what? In process. Safety means what? Raw material. Anticipation means according to future demand. Pipeline stock means the stock which is in process. Decoupling stock means which are supportive in nature, and psychic stock means it is on the speculation or for avoid the breakdown. So this was all about the somewhat types of inventory. So working stock is also known as cycle or lost size stock. So in general it is an average amount of inventory in stock that result from lost size. So it is also, as I told, it's a in process stock, or they are maintained to be safe to making a availability of raw material. Then safety stock or buffer stock functions of an inventory is to meet short range variation, either demand replenishment, that is safety stock. So it is for buffer stock. Buffer stock means what? It is an extra stock maintained to avoid a breakdown. So safety means extra, they stored in their storage. Then anticipation means holding of woolen garments in advance to meet, it is a future demand, so it is maintained for future demand. The pipeline stock is also known as transit stock or work in process, as I told. So it is an work in process material. Half of material are finished, or half of process of production is finished and half of process is still going on. Then decoupling stock of inventory accumulated between the various department, various activities. So smooth interface between material production and distribution. So it is a hand in hand, it is a integration of different departments. So it is maintained to integrate with different departments. Then after a virtual of contribution of inventory, one can also say that inventory is essential for smooth functioning of organization. It is very obvious the inventory is required for smooth functioning of the organizations. But how much inventory you should maintain? So for calculating this quantity, there are a different model, that may be the EOQ model, which we call as economic order quantity, or there is a one model that is ABC model. So these are the different models which help the how much of inventory should be maintained. So while maintaining the inventory, the different things you have to consider. The first one is carrying charges. Carrying charges means storage charges. If you you purchase the raw material and you have that in your inventory, then how much charge you want to maintain that stock. That may be the taking a insurance, that may be the wastage of material, that may be the deterioration of or obsolescence of your material, or maybe the depreciation cost. So how that charges you going to carry. Then involvement of working capital. So inventory is a part of working capital, so you invested your working capital in maintaining the inventory. So how you will going to manage that working capital? You have to consider the availability of your working capital and your requirement of inventory. And if a company hold too little inventory, suppose inventory due to the charges, company is hold a few quantity, or it's not a we can say it's a insufficient quantity, and there may be the some problem, that may be the too frequent ordering, loss of quantity discount, higher transportation charges, or likely shortage in future. So if you maintain too little inventory, then this type of problem have to face. So role of safety inventory in supply chain. So how safety inventory is performed in supply chain. So safety inventory or safety stock is inventory carried for the purpose of satisfying the demand that exceeds the amount forecasted. Yeah, suppose you do not have a safety inventory, but your demand is increasing, your product is going to demanded more quantity. So how are you going to fulfill that demand? So for fulfilling that demand, you should have the sufficient inventory, you should have sufficient material to manufacture that product. So there should have a inventory, and that inventory will help you to get an extra profit. So while in an olden days, if an item is out of stock, customer used to wait and come back to the store after some time. So in e-commerce days, customer will search another site that offers availability. It's an obvious. So the previous day, if the customer is not getting a product what they are intention to have it, so at that time they will go back and again come back after some time for having that material. But nowadays it is not happen. If I am not getting a material in one shop, I obviously will try to another shop, or if I am purchasing from online mode, then again I will go through with different sites with whom that material is available. So for maintaining a sufficient stock and making available of that material to the customer is an very important, and that role can be performed by the inventory. Then accurate forecasting is complicated. So if you kept only enough inventory in stock to satisfy average demand, then what will happen? You may lose a profit. Average inventory is there. So cycle inventory plus safety inventory, there is a fundamental trade-off. So raising the level of safety inventory, raising the level of safety inventory also raise the level of average inventory and therefore increase holding cost. It's an very obvious. Then determining the appropriate level of safety inventory, it can be done following ways. So how you will identify the safety inventory stock? So it by the measuring demand uncertainty. So how much demand is uncertain, so on the basis of that you can measure a demand of your product. Then measuring product availability, how much of product you have available with you and how much you can produce, so that you have to measure. Then replenishment policies. So after the use of raw material, you have to make a availability of another raw material. So what is your replenishment policy, how you going to use that material and how you will going to reordering that material, so that policy will have the ready with you. Then evaluating cycle, service level and fill rate. So you have to identify what is your cycle, inventory cycle, what is how you going to fill your stock, how you going to use your stock. So that cycle you have to evaluate. Then evaluating safety level, so you have to evaluate the safety level. Then impact of required product availability and uncertainty on safety inventory. So this point you have to consider while storing a appropriate inventory level. Now in inventory, if you are going to maintain an inventory, you have to bear the three types of cost. That may be the procurement cost, means how much means whatever price you are paying for that raw material, then your that cost, that is a procurement cost. Then carrying cost means after the purchasing of material, or if material is reached at your inventory, so from the point of your product making available at your location, from that point to the finish by using that raw material, so what is your carrying cost, how you going to carrying, that may be the fumigation, that may be the wastage, that may be the transportation. So this is another type of inventory. And stock out cost, stock out cost means your inventory is you don't have the inventory and now you have to reorder that material. So if you have you required a product in an emergency basis, then you have to pay the extra cost, you have to pay the higher cost, then you have to pay the transportation cost. So what that type of cost is also associated with your product. So students, this is what about the inventory. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, then you can contact on me on our group. Thank you.